It might be chilly where we are, but in Venezuela, the weather is quite different. You may know Venezuela as a beautiful country with a rich population, beautiful nature, maybe even for its oil or minerals. But, as many countries in South America, you can book an all-inclusive right down to the beach. But you may think again before booking your next trip. Because in reality, Venezuela is a country in a very critical state. Much of the country is living in poverty while dealing with the unsecure life conditions. They fear being shot on the street, fear of the gangs who rule the city, and with not much help from the state or police, it's easy to see why many people would seek the better life in countries such as America. I'm Polly Jones, and this is Horizon.
Me siento rota, me siento herida.
Immigration has always been essential to America. Let's end our exhausting war of immigration.
Next up, we have an interview with an immigrant from Venezuela who's trying to get into the US.
Hola, me llamo Ella Zapatero y hoy estoy cerca de la frontera con México, donde vamos a hablar con un inmigrante que está tratando de entrar en los Estados Unidos. ¿Cómo te llamas y dónde estás?
Hola, me llamo María Propagando y soy de Venezuela y mi perro Juan.
¿Por qué huir de Venezuela?
Mi vida en Venezuela era muy mala. Hay muchas bandas de narcotraficantes y armas en todo el país. Además, la mayor parte del gobierno y de la policía corruptos, lo que crea condiciones muy inseguras. Hace 3 años, mi marido fue tiroteado por una banda porque un policía no muy ayudales. El gobierno y la policía no hicieron nada, lo que supuso un gran riesgo para mí. 8 meses después de su muerte decidí huir, pero cuando llegué a Guatemala la bestia estaba rota. Después de 4 días volví a Venezuela. Hace 3 meses volví a salir y finalmente llegué a la frontera mexicana antes de 7 días.
¿Por qué intenté entrar a los Estados Unidos?
Estados Unidos tiene muchas oportunidades para todos. Sueño con vivir el sueño americano y crear más oportunidades para mi futuro. En Estados Unidos tienen muchos trabajos y ofrecen el 90% más de lo que gano ahora, lo que será un buen comienzo para una nueva vida.
Muchas gracias por su tiempo.
Gracias, buen día. As you can see, the situation in Venezuela makes people do the extreme just to get out of the country. The statistics clearly back up these statements, as we can look at this figure of the total permits to immigrants from either the South America or Caribbean. We can see that just USA only is a big part of the countries who take given permits, which meaning that the immigration is big. Also a lot of other countries, but we're going to focus on that. And if we look at the next figure, we can also see that we have all these immigration from Latin America to the Caribbean. And we have some of these different countries such as Jamaica, Honduras, Guatemala, Venezuela, and all these. And we can see that one of the 2 main destinations are so-called United States most of the time. And now we're going to switch to Alicia, our correspondent, to look at an explanation more in depth as to why this is.
Thank you very much, Polly. Some of the push factors that affect migrants from Venezuela's decision to leave the country are things such as poverty, corruption in the government, and last but not least violence, more specific gang violence, including drugs and weapons. If we look closer to the push factor poverty, we can see that this poverty creates a lack of education and job possibilities, which makes it really hard for the citizens to earn money and survive. Therefore, we leave the country in hope of more job possibilities and a better education so they can get a better life. Another factor I talked about was corruption in the government, which creates a suppression of the citizens because gangs have the possibility to bribe different people in the government, which gives them this possibility to take control over big areas. And this includes drug trade and shootings, which is really dangerous for the citizens. Therefore, they leave again for a better life and more freedom. Some of the pull factors for immigrants in Venezuela are things such as job possibilities, freedom, and last but not least, higher income. If we look at these statistics, we can see that in Latin America, Venezuela actually have the lowest minimum income wage per hour at $2.48, which is very little. And in the US, the minimum wage per hour is actually $7.25, but in different states they have a minimum wage of $12 per hour, which means that the immigrant from Venezuela could make 9 or 10 times more money than they did before, which again gives them this possibility of a better life.
Now we're going back to Polly in the studio.
Thank you, Alicia. Now we are going to hear from a successful immigrant who got into the United States.
Hola, me llamo Francesca Gómez y estoy aquí en Dallas, Texas con Camila López. ¿De dónde eres?
Soy de El Lula, que se encuentra en el oeste de Venezuela.
¿Cuánto tiempo llevé en Estados Unidos?
Me fui de Venezuela a 23 años, que llevo 11 años en Estados Unidos.
¿Cómo llego a Estados Unidos?
Fue un largo viaje que duró varios días a pie en autobús y en la bestia. Era peligroso y muy inseguro. Tenemos mucho miedo en el camino, también porque teníamos un niño pequeño con nosotros.
¿Por qué viajó desde a Venezuela?
Acabamos de ser padres y cuidaríamos de nuestra hija un futuro mejor que el que teníamos. En Venezuela hay mucha delincuencia y corrupción y una de cada 2 personas tiene un arma. Algo que no queremos que viva nuestra hija.
¿Cómo fue llegada a Estados Unidos?
No fue fácil al principio, pasó mucho tiempo antes de que nos situamos de nuevo en casa y seguros. Pero con el tiempo mejoró y se hizo más seguro.
¿Tienes familia en Venezuela y tienes contacto con ellos?
Sí, mis padres y mi hermana siguen en Venezuela y todavía tengo contacto con ellos. He hecho hago remesas a mis padres y que ellos mismos no tienen mucho dinero.
Gracias, Camila.
Gracias, buen día.
As we can see, some do get successful living out the American dream, but unfortunately we know that's not the truth for many of these people. Why that is could be political parties differences, especially in the US. We know that we have Donald Trump and we have Joe Biden, which are very two different people, especially when it comes to this migration politics. And we are going to look a bit more into that, so I'm going to switch it up to a correspondent, Michaela, who's going to explain a bit down at the border.
Thank you, Polly. I'm standing here at the US-Mexican border, also known as the Mexico-United States barrier, where thousands of people cross it annually, and a lot of them die during the journey. There are guards throughout the entire border, and it's not easy to cross. If you look at the political aspects of immigration, Joe Biden has said that the entire system was gutted. It takes time to build out of the depth of cruelty that the administration before us has established. He's referring to the time where Donald Trump was president and he wanted this wall along the entire border of Mexico and the United States, but it's not fully done yet, and it's probably not going to be, at least not in Joe Biden's time. Donald Trump also wanted these deportation centers that are still existing, and Joe Biden still has running, but he is trying to make the conditions better for the immigrants, but he's still holding on to these deportation centers. Joe Biden hasn't done everything that he has promised yet, and we are still waiting at the time where he has done everything. And back to Polly.
Broke his leg.
It's really been good the last 4 years, but I'm not looking forward to the future.
As you can see, the problematics going on in South America, and especially Venezuela, are far away from being resolved, but we hopefully in the near future will see some light in all these problems. This was all for Horizon tonight. Book in next week for all the problematics about people putting milk before cereal. Thank you.